The crimson warning lights bathed the command center in an ominous glow as Admiral Marcus Rivera stared at the tactical display. 3 massive alien vessels hung motionless in the void, their sleek obsidian hulls reflecting the distant stars like mirrors of death. They had appeared without warning, materializing from hyperspace just beyond the outer colonies. "Status report," Rivera commanded, his weathered hands gripping the rail of the observation deck. Lieutenant Torres swiveled in her chair, her face pale beneath the emergency lighting. "Sir, the vessels are maintaining position at 15,000 kilometers. No response to our hail attempts. Their energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases." Rivera nodded grimly. Humanity had been expanding across the galaxy for 2 centuries, establishing colonies and mining operations on dozens of worlds. They had encountered various alien species, some peaceful, others requiring firm diplomatic pressure. But these ships were different. They radiated an almost palpable sense of menace. "Admiral," called out Commander Hayes from the weapons station, "the Colonial Defense Grid is requesting permission to charge primary weapons. The governors are getting nervous." Rivera hesitated. Standard protocol dictated a show of force when dealing with unidentified vessels near human space. It had worked before with the territorial Zephyrians and the aggressive Korthak raiders. But something about these ships made his instincts scream caution. "Sir," Hayes pressed. "Charge the weapons," Rivera finally ordered. "But keep them on standby. No hostile actions until I give the word." The moment the human defense platforms began powering their particle cannons, everything changed. The alien vessels, which had been perfectly still, suddenly erupted into motion. But it wasn't an attack, it was a retreat. The ships began backing away from human space with surprising speed. "They're fleeing?" Torres asked, incredulous. Rivera frowned. In his experience, truly dangerous predators didn't flee from prey. They fled from something worse. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer announced. It's not from the alien ships. It's coming from deep space, beyond our sensor range. Put it through." The main screen flickered, and a voice filled the command center. It was unmistakably human, but distorted by what sounded like decades of isolation and madness. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the lost colony ship Prometheus. If you can hear this, you've made a terrible mistake. Those ships you just threatened? They're refugees, and you've just announced to their hunters that there's fresh prey in this sector." Rivera's blood turned to ice. The Prometheus disappeared 40 years ago. The transmission continued, crackling with static. "We've been hiding in the deep void, watching, learning. The species you just encountered, they're called the Serenai. They're peaceful. They were fleeing from something that makes your worst nightmares look like children's fairy tales. And now, thanks to your aggressive posturing, you've just lit up this entire sector like a beacon." The tactical display suddenly erupted with new contacts. Dozens of massive signatures were emerging from hyperspace, ships that dwarfed even the largest human dreadnoughts. Their designs were angular, predatory, and they moved with the fluid grace of apex predators. "The Devourers," Vasquez's voice whispered through the static. "They follow the Serenai across the galaxy, consuming everything in their path. They hunt by detecting aggressive behavior, drawn to species that broadcast their capacity for violence. You've just rang the dinner bell." Rivera watched in horror as the Devourer fleet began advancing toward human space. The 3 Serenai ships, still retreating, suddenly changed course. Instead of fleeing, they formed a defensive line between the approaching nightmare and the human colonies. "Why?" Rivera breathed. "Because," came Vasquez's final transmission, "despite what you've done, they're still better than we are. They're going to die trying to protect you from a war you started through ignorance and fear. Congratulations, Admiral. You've just started a war with the wrong species, and condemned the only allies we might have had." The screen went dark, leaving Rivera staring at the approaching storm of destruction, finally understanding that sometimes the greatest threats came not from the monsters in the dark, but from the monster of assumption and prejudice that lived within humanity itself.